A strange signal in the dark silence of space, the human spaceship Raven 12 moved slowly near a dying star. Its only passenger, John Carter, sat alone in the cockpit, staring at empty screens. He was a war veteran, a man who had seen too many battles and lost too many friends. Now he just wandered from one system to another, looking for peace or maybe a reason to keep going. Suddenly, a strange sound broke the silence. Static ... Then a child's soft laughter, and a woman's cry. John leaned forward. What the hell? The signal was not human. But it wasn't just alien either. It was ... mixed, faint, broken, full of emotion. Where's this coming from? He whispered. The ship's system traced the signal to a small, forgotten planet named Delta 5X, located in a red zone abandoned after an old war between humans and the alien race known as the Valari. John hesitated. No human had gone near Delta 5X in over 12 years. The war with the Valari had ended in blood and silence, but something about the signal pulled him. The laughter, the pain. He pressed a button, set course for Delta 5X. One day later, the planet's surface was quiet and broken. Old buildings stood like skeletons, half destroyed, covered in dust and vines. His ship landed near an old Valari village, now empty. John stepped out, wearing light armor. His boots crunched dry leaves. His eyes scanned everything. Anyone here? He shouted. No answer. He walked slowly past an old marketplace, a broken fountain, a children's play area. When he heard it again, the laughter, this time closer. He turned sharply, weapon ready. But instead of danger, he saw something strange, a small child with violet eyes and silver hair peeking from behind. A broken wall. Hey, it's okay. I'm not here to hurt you, John said softly. The child stared at him, not moving. Behind her, a tall alien woman stepped out. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes deep purple. She wore a torn cloak and carried a sharp stick for protection. She looked weak, tired, but her eyes were strong. Don't come closer, she said. John didn't move. I heard your signal. The woman blinked. You came for that? He nodded. Who are you? She looked down, then said, My name is Zarvana. I am the widow of a Valari soldier. This is my daughter. John looked at the child again. She's part human? Zarvana nodded. Yes, her father was Valari, but I was not always one of them. I was once human too, changed ... to survive. John didn't understand fully, but he saw the pain in her eyes. He saw the dirt, the hunger, the fear. You're hiding, he said. Zarvana didn't answer. She looked behind her, into the trees. Then she said in a quiet voice, You shouldn't be here. They will come. Who? John asked. The others, she said. The wild ones, my own kind, but not like me. They eat anything with flesh, they kill for fun, and they hate humans. John didn't flinch. Let them come. Zarvana looked at him carefully. You're not like others. He smiled a little. No, I eat meat too, she stared. Real meat? He nodded. I'm not just human. I'm a soldier. A predator when I need to be. Suddenly, the little girl stepped forward and touched John's arm. She smiled a small, sweet smile. It melted something in John's heart. Zarvana's voice softened. She doesn't smile at strangers. Not in years. John looked around. You're alone here? She nodded. After the war, my husband died. We had no home. I sent the signal ... every week, hoping someone kind would come, someone not afraid. John said nothing for a moment. Then he stepped forward and said, Well, I came, and I'm not leaving you two here to die. Zarvana's eyes widened. You would help an enemy? John looked at the child again. I don't see enemies. I see a mother and a daughter. Suddenly, a sound came from the trees. Growls. Fast footsteps. Zarvana grabbed her daughter and said, "They're here." John turned, weapon ready. His face turned cold. Then let's show them what a human predator looks like. The fire burned low. The night sky above Delta 5X was painted with strange stars, swirling colors, and silent warnings. John sat on a flat rock, cleaning his weapon, while his eyes watched the shadows beyond the trees. Zarvana sat nearby, holding her daughter close. The child slept peacefully against her, one tiny hand resting on her mother's chest, the other clutching a half-broken toy. John finally broke the silence. You said your husband died in the war, he said. But you didn't say how. Zarvana didn't look up. Her fingers moved gently through her daughter's silver hair. Do you really want to know? She asked softly. John nodded. I came here because I followed your signal. Not just to rescue someone, but to understand. I want the truth. She looked at him now, her purple eyes full of something heavy, not fear, but memory. My husband was Velari. But not like the others. He believed the war was a mistake. He said humans and Velari could share the stars. She smiled faintly. He even learned your language. He called me Starheart. John blinked. That's not a normal Velari. No, she whispered. That's why they killed him. She paused, then continued. When I met him, I was running from your side. I had nothing. He saved me, and I stayed. The elders didn't like it. They said I was cursed for loving a predator. John frowned. And the child? She was born during the last year of the war, half human, half Velari. The elders called her impure. They told me to get rid of her. John's jaw clenched. You didn't? Zarvana shook her head fiercely. She's my child, my light, my reason to stay alive. John watched her closely. That's why you sent the signal? Yes, she said. I wasn't looking for help. I was looking for someone who wouldn't run when they saw her, someone who could protect her. After I'm gone. John looked sharply at her. What do you mean, after you're gone? Zarvana turned her face away. I have a condition. My blood was altered during the war. They used me to test hybrid medicines. It's killing me slowly. I hide it from her, but I feel it every day. John stood tense. There's no cure? Only on Earth, she said. And we can't go there. Your people would shoot us down before we land. John didn't reply for a long time. Then the little girl stirred in her sleep and mumbled, Mama ... hungry. Zarvana kissed her head. We'll find food tomorrow. John turned toward his ship. After a moment, he returned with a small pack. He took out some dry meat and handed it over. Zarvana stared at it. Is this ... animal flesh? Yes, human food, John said. Want some? She hesitated, then took a tiny piece and tasted it. Her eyes widened, part surprise, part disgust, part something else. I forgot this taste, she whispered. John smirked. Meat helps build strength. That's how we survived on harsh planets. Not on fruit, not on dreams. Zarvana looked at him, almost amused. You really are a carnivore. John nodded. You said your people fear us. Good, because I'm not going to let them take her. She stared at him. You'd protect her? I would protect both of you, John said firmly. But I need to know who we're up against. Zarvana's face turned serious. There's a group of Velari hunters, she said. They roam this zone. They believe in pure blood only. They don't use tech. They fight like beasts. No ships, no mercy. They have 4 arms, and they smell fear. John's eyes narrowed. What do they want? They want her, she said, nodding toward the child. They think she is a threat to their future. a child of two worlds. Suddenly, the wind changed. A strange, musky scent filled the air. Zarvana stood quickly. They're close. John grabbed his gun. Inside the wreck, now. They moved into a broken shelter nearby, half stone, half metal. Zarvana wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering soft words in her ear. Outside, heavy breathing. Slow steps. A growl. John peeked through a crack. 3 figures, tall and muscular, with 4 arms each. Their eyes glowed orange in the dark. One sniffed the air and smiled. They're here, John said. But they don't know I'm not just a guest. Zarvana looked at him, eyes wide. I'm not just a man, John said quietly. I'm what your people feared in war. And I'm ready to remind them. He stepped out of the shelter and raised his weapon. Come closer. Sighed. Dinner's ready. It didn't take long for the forest to smell like blood. The 3 alien hunters lay dead. Their blue skins soaked the ground. Their claws were still out, frozen in their final strike. But they never touched John, not even once. John stood over them, breathing steady. He wiped his knife on his sleeve. His gun had jammed earlier, but he didn't need it. I told you, he muttered, looking down at the bodies. I'm not the prey. From behind a broken wall, Zarvana watched him, eyes wide. Her daughter peeked from under her arm, silent but curious. She had seen warriors before, but not like him, not human, not animal. Something in between. Later that night, they sat in silence around a fire. Zarvana was still trying to understand what she had witnessed. You didn't even flinch, she said. They were faster, stronger. They were angry, John interrupted. Anger makes you loud. I grew up fighting men twice my size on backwater planets. You learn to move quiet, to end it quick. He picked up a stick and poked the fire. Monsters don't scare me. I've been one. Zarvana didn't reply. She looked at the fire, then at her daughter, who had curled up beside John without fear. She trusts you now, Zarvana whispered. John nodded. She reminds me of my sister's kid. Same eyes, same way of hiding behind smiles. There was a pause. Then John asked, Do more hunters know you're here? Zarvana face grew hard. Yes, that group was just a scout team. The others will return with more. They'll come with beasts, maybe even poison. They hate what I've become. And what she is. John stared into the fire. They think she's a threat? Yes, she said, because she can survive both worlds. John leaned back. So can I. The next morning, John began exploring the old Villari structures. He needed a place strong enough to hide or fight from. Most buildings were ruins, but one underground chamber still had working systems. He wiped dust from a control panel and tapped the screen. It flickered, then glowed. Bingo, he whispered. Files opened. Logs, research notes, medical records in both Villari and human language. John frowned. One file showed Zarvana's name. It called her subject VHX7. Next to it, hybrid. Compatibility project. He scrolled further. Pictures of her pregnant. Notes on gene fusion. One video showed her crying as tubes were removed from her arms. His fists clenched. They used her. She wasn't just running. She was escaping something worse. Zarvana found him there, reading the files. I didn't want you to see that, she said quietly. John looked at her, eyes dark. You were part of an experiment? I didn't choose it, she said. They called it peace research. A way to mix human strength with Villari adaptation. I said no. They locked me in a lab for 6 months. My husband broke me out. She paused. He died during our escape. John stood up slowly. They turned you into a test, then wanted your daughter erased. Zarvana nodded. John looked at her. They're not hunters. They're cleaners, sent to erase history. She looked away. Yes. John took a deep breath. Then I'll erase them first. That evening, strange howling echoed from the mountains. The sound was deep, guttural, not just voices. Creatures. Zarvana stood at the door of the shelter. Her eyes searched the sky. They've released the blood beasts. John loaded his rifle. What are they? Genetic weapons, she said. Big, fast, smell fear and heat. They don't stop until their target dies. Or they do. John smirked. Sounds like home. Zarvana stared at him. You keep joking. Why? John looked at her. Because if I stop, I'll remember I'm just one man trying to protect a dying mother and a half-alien child in the middle of nowhere. And that would scare me. Zarvana smiled just slightly. You're more Velari than you know, she said. No, John replied. I'm human. That's worse for them. It began with smoke. Not from fire but from fear. The sky over Delta 5X turned red. Clouds spun in circles, like the planet was warning them. In the distance, a low rumble crawled across the ground. Not thunder. Footsteps. Heavy. Marching. Close. John stood at the top of the hill, watching the horizon through cracked binoculars. Below him, blood beasts, massive, six-legged monsters ran wild through the jungle. Behind them walked the Velari. Hunters, cloaked in bone armor, faces painted with ash. Zia Ravana joined him. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. They're here for her, John said. Yes, Zarvana replied. And for me, but mostly for you. John lowered the binoculars. Good, let them come. Back in the cave, the little girl was drawing on the wall with a broken stick. She drew stars, a tall man and a small family holding hands. She drew you, Zarvana said softly. She never draws strangers. John looked at the crude image. His chest tightened. I guess I'm not a stranger anymore. Zarvana placed her hand on the wall. She thinks of you as a protector. Like her father. There was silence. Then John spoke. He died saving you. What if I can't do the same? Zarvana turned to him. You already have? You stayed. That night, the hunters finally arrived. They didn't knock. They burned the forest around the cave, herding them toward a flat valley of stone. The blood beasts howled, circling the edges. Number. Escape. Just fight or surrender. John checked his ammo. 3 mags. 1 knife. No backup. Zia Ravana handed him a thin crystal blade. This is Velari steel. It cuts through bone. He took it. Nice gift. Not a gift, she said. A sign? A sign of what? Zarvana stepped close. Her voice was soft, but firm. If we fight together, I want it to mean something. John raised an eyebrow. You mean? She nodded. In Velari law, if 2 fight side by side against death, they are bound. Life mates. John blinked. Marriage by battle? Zarvana smiled. You humans say till death do us part. We say until death proves us worthy. John looked at the child, now hiding behind a rock. Then he looked at her. I'm in, he said. Zarvana stepped closer. Then spill blood beside me and claim her as your own. John grinned. I like your style. The valley echoed with the roar of blood beasts as the hunters surrounded them. The leader stepped forward. His eyes locked on Zarvana. You shame your blood, he growled. Zarvana stood tall. I choose my blood, the hunter spat. You breed with predators. You protect filth. John stepped beside her. And I eat monsters like you for breakfast. The Velari snarled, raising his weapon. But Zarvana raised her hand. Before the fight, I make a claim. She held the child in front of her. This child is mine, and now his. Gasps rose among the Valari. She binds with a human, one hissed. She breaks sacred law. The leader growled. Then they all die as traitors. John's voice was calm. Try it. And then they charged. The battle was brutal. John moved like a shadow, gun roaring, blades slicing through bone. Zarvana danced through enemies, her body fluid, deadly. She struck with rage, but also with precision. They fought back to back. Blood on their hands, fire in their eyes. The child watched from a hiding spot, whispering, "Don't die, don't die. John took a cut to the shoulder. Zarvana cried out and grabbed his attacker, stabbing him twice. You okay? She shouted. John wiped blood from his lip. Just hungry. He pulled a grenade from his belt. Time to set the table. When the smoke cleared, only two still stood. John. Zarvana. Blood beasts ran into the jungle, wounded. The remaining. Valari hunters crawled or lay still. The child ran to them, sobbing into John's chest. Zar single quotes. Vanna watched him hold her. She's yours now, she said. John nodded. Ours. Above them, stars shone quietly as if watching history change. Predator had chosen an alien widow, and in the fire and blood, they had become a family. She was drawing stars again, but this time, the stars were glowing. In the quiet ruins of the valley, where blood still stained the stones and smoke floated in the air, the child sat alone. Her small hands traced shapes into the dust circles. Spirals, strange symbols. Wherever her finger moved, the marks shimmered softly, like tiny fireflies had been trapped in the dirt. John watched from a distance, silent. She's doing it again, he whispered. Zarvana stepped beside him. Her face was calm, but her eyes held fear. She's never done this before. Not like this. John crossed his arms. What is it? I don't know, she said slowly. Or maybe. I never wanted to know. Later that night, John asked the child to draw again. What do you see when you close your eyes? He asked. The child looked up, her violet eyes glowing faintly. I see machines, talking, not with words. I see doors, but not real ones. They open when I think. John frowned. You're dreaming? She shook her head. Awake dreams. John turned to Zarvana. She's connected to something. Zarvana nodded. The hybrids, those who survive, sometimes unlock things. Powers, communication, control. Of what? John asked. Technology, she whispered. Weapons, ships, even minds. John looked at the girl again. She was humming now, and a broken drone lying in the dirt suddenly blinked, its lights flickering back to life. John stepped back. She just, yes, Zarvana said. She woke it up. But news travels faster than stars. Somewhere, deep in orbit, far above Delta 5X, a signal had been triggered. In a hidden facility on a Black Ops moon, a human admiral watched the blinking alert. Hybrid activity detected. Unauthorized technology reactivation. Planet, Delta 5X. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Send a unit, he ordered. We need that child, alive. On the surface, John began preparing for another fight. He didn't trust either side. Not the Valari and not his own species anymore. Zarvana helped him reinforce their shelter. But her hands trembled. She will be hunted now, she said. By both sides, John nodded. Then she needs protection. And training. She's only a child. John looked at her. So was I. When I learned to kill. That evening. He sat with the girl. You know what you are? He asked. She looked down. Broken? No, John said firmly. You're two things at once, and both sides are afraid of that. Because you can become something new, something better. She blinked. What if I don't want to be better? He smiled. Then you'll just be you. and I'll still protect you." She reached out and touched his face. "You're not soft like Mama." He laughed. "No, but I'm sharp." She giggled and ran off to find more scrap parts to wake up. Zarvana watched them, tears in her eyes. She's starting to believe. John looked at her. She needs to, because soon the real monsters will come. Hours later, they heard the sound, not like the blood beasts. Not like the hunters. This was different. Clean, mechanical, human, a gunship. John grabbed his weapon. "Your people are fast, but mine. They bring paperwork before war, so this is serious." The ship hovered above the ruins, scanning, then dropped something small. A message pod. It beeped, then spoke. "Surrender the child. You have 6 hours. Non-compliance will be answered with lethal force." John kicked the pod. How polite. Zarvana clenched her fists. What now? John looked at the girl, who was now glowing softly. The power inside her was no longer quiet. "We run," he said. "But first we make them chase fire." The stars were not quiet anymore. They screamed in signals, warnings, and weapons. John watched the night sky crack open as Earth's gunship fired warning blasts over the ruins. The air shook. Stone shattered. But he didn't flinch. Behind him, Zarvana fell to one knee. Her breathing was sharp, shallow. The sickness was getting worse. The child rushed to her side. "Mama? Mama, what's wrong?" Zarvana forced a smile. "Just tired, starling." John didn't smile. His face was steel. "She's burning up. She doesn't have much time," Zarvana whispered. "It's in my blood. The lab's changed me. My body's shutting down." John turned toward his ship. "Then we're leaving. Now?" Zarvana's eyes widened. "You'll take us to Earth?" He nodded. "Even if they shoot us out of the sky." 3 hours earlier, they had buried the last Valari hunter. The child had placed a single stone on the grave. Not for mercy, just memory. John had found an old Valari star map hidden inside the ruins. It showed safe corridors through abandoned jump gates, routes that bypassed patrols and sensor nets. Only problem, some were unstable. Unused, possibly. Deadly. He didn't care. "Pack only what you can hold," he said. "We run silent, no transmissions, we disappear." Inside the ship, Zarvana lay on a bunk. Sweat covered her skin. Her body trembled. The child sat beside her, holding her hand. John sat at the pilot's seat, locking coordinates. A message flashed on the screen. Earth entry. Unregistered craft. Deny access. Engage. John gritted his teeth. Not today. He flipped switches. We're going in dirty. Mid-flight, the child wandered into the cockpit. Are we going to your home? She asked. John kept his eyes on the stars. I don't know if it's mine anymore, but it's where the medicine is. Will they like me? She asked. John looked down. No, some will hate you. They'll call you names? They'll want to study you, lock you in a box. She was quiet. But I'll burn every box they build, he added. You're not a science project. You're my kid. The child smiled, just a little. Even if I glow weird? He chuckled. Especially if you glow weird. Behind them, alarms began to beep. Zarvana had collapsed. Her pulse was slow. Skin turning gray. John carried her into the medbay. Don't you quit on me now, he said. She opened her eyes weakly. Promise me, if I die, protect her. Even from your own people. John leaned in. You're not dying today. I don't care if I have to land this ship in fire. You're going to make it. She touched his face. Why do you care so much? He answered quietly, because you're my family now. As they neared Earth's outer orbit, 5 Earth defense ships blocked their path. Unidentified vessel. You are entering secure zone. cut engines, or be fired upon. John flipped the comms on. This is Commander John Carter. Former U.S. Recon Unit. Clearance Bravo Black. I am carrying a critically ill civilian and her child. Medical emergency. There was a pause. We do not recognize the passenger species. Confirm identity. John leaned into the mic. She's not a species. She's my wife. Static. Then. Prepare to be boarded. Any sign of resistance will be answered with lethal force. John turned to Zarvana and the child. Time to do something stupid. Instead of stopping, he dove straight into Earth's atmosphere, engines screaming, fire licking the wings, missiles locked on. Sirens howled. The child, still glowing faintly, placed her hands on the control screen. Suddenly, the targeting systems of the Earthship shut down. John blinked. You did that? The child nodded. I asked them not to hurt us. They crash-landed in a field near an old military base. John stepped out, blood on his forehead, holding Zarvana in his arms. The child walked beside him. Soldiers pointed weapons. A medic shouted for stretchers. An officer stepped forward. What? Is this? John stared him down. This is my wife, he said. And that's our daughter. You want to shoot someone? Start with me. The officer hesitated. Then slowly lowered his weapon. The earth smelled like war and wet grass. Not the kind of war fought with guns, but the quiet kind. The kind where fear hides behind glass windows and clean hallways. John sat on a cold metal bench in a government hospital, hands stained with dried blood and engine grease. The child slept beside him, curled against his shoulder, her soft glow barely visible. Inside the room behind the glass, Zarvana lay motionless. Machines beeped. Wires connected her body to Earth's finest medical tech. Still, she looked like she was drifting farther away with every second. A nurse walked past, avoiding his eyes. 2 guards stood at the end of the hallway, not with anger, but with uncertainty. Nobody knew what to do with a man who brought home an alien and called her wife. 3 days earlier, Earth's military had taken them in, but not with open arms. Zarvana was placed under quarantine. The child was separated. John nearly broke a colonel's nose getting her back. Now, everything rested on one word from a council: accept or reject. That word would decide if they lived as a family or were sent into exile. Back in the room, the child stirred awake. She rubbed her eyes and whispered, Is Mama going to die? John didn't answer right away. She's fighting, he said, like she always has. The girl reached up and touched the glass between them. It's cold, she said, like the people here. Later, a young officer entered the hall. His uniform was crisp, but his face was unsure. He sat beside John. They don't know what to do with you. John stared ahead. Not the first time. The officer hesitated. If you gave up the child, just signed her over, we could help you more. John looked at him. That's not my daughter. That's my kid. There's a difference. The officer didn't speak again. Inside the hospital room, something changed. Zarvana's hand twitched. Her breathing slowed, then steadied. The child's glow returned stronger now. Her eyes closed, and for a moment she hummed. All the machines in the room blinked, then went silent. Doctors ran in. They shouted, scanned, checked vitals. One word kept repeating, stable. Hours later, the head doctor came out. He looked tired, confused, maybe even amazed. She's going to make it, he said. But it wasn't us. Something changed her cell pattern mid-treatment. Something inside her adapted. John looked down at the child. 2 souls, he whispered, one fighting for the other. Outside, a crowd had gathered. News had leaked. Some held signs, aliens go home. Others held signs too, Let her stay. The world was watching. Then came the final call. John was summoned before a tribunal. 3 humans, 1 medic, 1 general, 1 civilian advisor. They asked only one question: why should we trust you? John looked at them, tired but calm. Because I never asked you to trust me, he said. I asked you to let a child grow up without being hunted. Silence. She's not a weapon, he said. She's just a little girl who likes stars and draws pictures of her parents holding hands. If that's scary to you, maybe you're the problem. More silence. I fought your wars. I buried your dead. And now I'm fighting to build something better. With her. With both of them. He stood. Make your decision, but I've already made mine. 2 days later, Zarvana opened her eyes. She saw John asleep beside her bed, the child curled up on the chair with a drawing in her lap. The drawing showed 3 people. 1 tall, 1 glowing. 1 with violet skin. Above them, the words, home. Earth didn't throw a parade. But they gave John a house near the sea. Zarvana stayed under observation for now. And the child? She was registered as the first human Valori Earthborn citizen, a quiet victory, not in fire. Not in blood. But in family. In a galaxy full of fear, war, and rules. A soldier, a widow, and a glowing child rewrote the definition of home. Together.